The story kicks off with a 19-year-old guy named Jiang Haoyi. He seems like your average student, just wanting to get through his quiet, boring life without much fuss. But one day in class, things get wild. The school beauty, Xie Zitong, suddenly claims Haoyi is the father of her unborn child. Haoyi's baffled because he swears he's never even met her. This bombshell shakes him up, and to make matters worse, his classmates start hating on him out of jealousy. Just when he's trying to wrap his head around all this and make a run for it, he bumps into Tang Xuan, this hot, athletic girl. She's furious and accuses him of being a player because of what happened with Xia. Haoyi's totally lost because, again, he has no idea who Tang is and has never spoken to her. He's trying to figure out what's going on when he runs into a third girl, Lin Yuan, who looks like a cute nerd. She drops another bomb by telling him his 2 kids at home miss him. Now, Haoyi is completely confused because he doesn't know any of these girls, and no one else believes his side of the story. Haoyi manages to get away from the chaos and ends up on the school roof. But soon enough, the students corner him up there, and he feels like he has no choice but to jump. Just when he thinks it's all over, a girl named Mei, who happens to be a Cupid, swoops in and saves him. She explains what's really going on. A few days ago, Haoyi ate some special chocolates, and anyone who eats them starts gaining false memories of love. That's why those 3 girls suddenly think they have these crazy stories with Haoyi. Mei tells him that the only way to break the curse is to fulfill each girl's deepest desire. Haoyi decides to start with Xia, who's super upset because she thought he died when he jumped off the roof. But as we know, he's very much alive. He goes back to Xia, apologizes, and takes her to get a pregnancy test. It comes back negative, and Haoyi is over the moon about it. But then Xia says she'll try her best to get pregnant next time, which leaves Haoyi even more confused and freaked out. He decides to take Xia home and discovers that she usually lives alone in a huge mansion because her dad is always at work. Feeling a bit bold, Haoyi rudely tells Xia's father over the phone that he got his daughter pregnant. When Xia's father shows up, it's obvious he's a super wealthy and important businessman. But Haoyi doesn't back down. He tells Xia's dad that no matter how much money and stuff he gives his daughter, she's still too lonely and needs her dad around. Xia gets teary-eyed, seeing Haoyi stand up to her father. It really hits home for her dad, and that's enough to fulfill Xia's deepest desire. As a result, the false memories of love she had disappear. But the next day, Xia asks Haoyi out on a date, which totally confuses him because he thought her memories were erased. Mei explains that normal memories can't be wiped, so Xia remembers everything that happened at her place and has genuinely fallen for him. Haoyi reluctantly agrees to the date, thinking things might finally calm down. But then his childhood friend, Ouyang Shui, shows up out of nowhere. She's always been obsessed with Haoyi, and it has nothing to do with the Cupid chocolates. She kisses Haoyi in front of everyone to make it clear to Xia that Haoyi is hers. Xia gets anxious and double-checks with Haoyi if they're still on for the date, and he reassures her they are. While heading up the stairs, Tang ambushes Haoyi and slaps him, saying they're breaking up. Haoyi tells her that with her attitude, no one will like her, and she storms off. Mei shows up, and Haoyi asks if breaking up with the girls would solve everything. Mei tells him he knows nothing about women, and when a girl says we're breaking up, it's just a warning. Haoyi sticks to his plan to go on a date with Xia, and when the big day arrives, they have an awesome time. They even hit up an anime convention and run into Tang there. Turns out, despite her tough exterior, Tang has a secret hobby as a cosplayer. She hides it because she's worried about losing respect at school. However, Tang has always dreamed of winning the annual competition, which requires 3 participants. Xia volunteers them to help, but Haoyi isn't thrilled about dressing in women's attire. Still, he doesn't have much choice as they force him into a cosplay. Just when Tang is about to change, she discovers her costume has been sabotaged and breaks down, leaving in distress. Determined to make things right, Haoyi steps up. He goes on stage and delivers a heartfelt speech about Tang, saying she doesn't need to hide who she is or worry about critics because the real her is beautiful. Tang makes an epic entrance by falling from the catwalk, and together they save the competition and win. Meanwhile, Xia starts to feel insecure seeing Haoyi share such a beautiful moment with Tang, but she decides to keep it to herself. For now, Haoyi has a bit of free time and decides to focus on his studies. He wants to be the top student in his class, just like he used to be. Back when he was little, he would always compete with Oh-young, and he always took first place, at least until high school, when he started letting her win to keep her from bothering him all the time. Determined to reclaim his former glory, Hao-yi proposes a bet to Tang and the other girls in the sports club. The deal is that whoever scores higher than him on the next midterm test can ask the loser to do anything without question. Hao-yi is super confident, even though he gave the girls a big advantage. He studies non-stop and gets a lot of help from his teacher. Meanwhile, Tang and Xia start feeling a bit lonely because they want to spend more time with Hao-yi, but he stays focused on his goal. On the day of the exam, Hao-yi comes out on top, winning the bet by scoring the highest in the whole school. As part of the bet, Tang has to obey whatever he asks, so he tells her to wear a maid cosplay for 2 weeks. He believes this will help her show her true self, and it ends up making her really happy, fulfilling her deepest desire and breaking the Cupid's curse. But then the last girl appears, the one who supposedly has 2 children with Hao-yi. It turns out these kids are actually real, created by her false memories where Hao-yi plays with them. Hao-yi feels he needs to sort things out with Lin, so he goes with her to her place and meets Lin's mom, who also seems to have false memories of him and is upset that he hasn't visited in days. Despite the initial tension, she invites him in and they all have a meal together. While he's there, Xia calls and asks him out on a date for Sunday, and he agrees. Then, Lin suggests taking the kids for a walk that same day. Instead of scheduling the dates on different days, Hao-yi, being smart, decides to make both plans work on Sunday. Both girls are thrilled about their dates, and when the day comes, Hao-yi splits his time. He spends a few hours with his newfound family, playing with the kids and taking them to a theme park. But soon enough, he has to meet up with Xia. So, Hao-yi leaves his kids with their mother and meets up with Xia, realizing they have genuine chemistry. They take photos together and enjoy their time at the park. Things get more intimate when Xia leans in to kiss him, but he ends up leaving her alone when Mei suddenly shows up again. Hao-yi is still puzzled about why the school beauty likes him and wonders if it's still because of the chocolates. Mei reassures him that Xia's feelings for him are genuine and have nothing to do with any magical influence. Hao-yi goes back to Lin and spends the afternoon with her and the children, taking them out to eat. During their time together, he notices that Lin has issues with her father that she avoids discussing. Determined to uncover the truth and fulfill her deepest desire to lift the curse, Hao-yi starts looking for clues. He speaks to a teacher from Lin's old school who reveals that she used to be a cheerful child. Every day, her father would drop her off at school, and she was always attentive and happy. But suddenly, one day, he stopped coming back, leaving Lin with a lingering sadness ever since. Hao-yi continues his search for Lin's father with the help of his brother, who works in the police department. They manage to track down several phone numbers that could belong to him. After trying them all, the last one turns out to be Lin's father, who is actually a successful businessman. Hao-yi confronts him about abandoning Lin, but the truth comes out. Lin's father reveals that he is not her biological father and was only with her mother for a brief period. This revelation leaves Hao-yi confused and seeking answers. He tries to ask Lin's mother about the situation, but she remains tight-lipped. Eventually, a gossipy neighbor spills the beans, revealing that Lin's mother was previously married to a police officer who tragically passed away shortly after their wedding. This devastating loss left her heartbroken and likely contributed to Lin's unresolved issues with her father. After learning the full story, Hao-yi feels upset because he realizes there's not much he can do to change Lin's situation. Despite his frustration, he reflects on the situation and tries to persuade the businessman to reconnect with Lin and her family. However, his efforts prove futile as the businessman remains unmoved. Feeling frustrated yet determined to support Lin and the children, Hao-yi eventually calms down and decides to spend more time with them. He focuses on being there for Lin during this difficult time, offering his support and companionship to help ease her sadness. In a sudden and serious car accident, Hao-yi ends up taking the impact to save Lin. Miraculously, Lin escapes unharmed, but Hao-yi is injured and rushed to the hospital. Lin's adoptive father is quickly notified and arrives in a panic, only to find Lin safe and well, and Hao-yi injured but alive. During this chaotic moment, Lin and her stepfather have an emotional reunion, which finally fulfills her deepest desire for family connection. Meanwhile, Haoyi slips into a dreamlike state, bidding farewell to the children he imagined, now that the curse is broken. When Haoyi awakens, he finds Lin by his side. In the end, Haoyi manages to fulfill the wishes of the first 3 girls affected by the chocolates. Little did he know, there are 3 other girls who also tried the chocolates, setting the stage for another season of adventures. For now, everyone ends up happy. And we're left with a cliffhanger as a new girl shouts the protagonist's name, hinting at what's to come.